It is very clear that there is a mobility transition happening these days. The mobility transition, however, is not happening on its own. There is another 6 transitions happening at the same time. Those are the energy transition, the spatial transition, the information transition, the water transition, and the materials transition. The 7th transition is very, very essential, and it has to do with the social transition. And that is very, very important for the world of mobility. In fact, mobility has 3 sides to it. It has the economic side, the cultural side, and the social side. Well, for us at the Verkeers Onderneming, we talk about mobility and we talk about putting people at the center. When you put people at the center of anything, it is about what people want. People want a better life. They want to be happy. And mobility has definitely a role to play in that quality of life of people. This is what we call mobility happiness. Mobility happiness can be measured by a tool that we have created at the Verkeers Onderneming, which is called the Mobility Happiness Index. And the Mobility Happiness Index has been designed as an actionable index, meaning the result of that index is not simply a score of how mobility happy you are and you're basically doomed with that score. It's really to give you actually practical tools and insights into what you can do about it to be able to actually increase your mobility happiness. This index actually is designed to be used in 2 ways. One way is to be used as an independent tool where we can use the index to scan a certain region and identify, is there a problem? What is the problem? What is the urgency of such a problem? Where is it located in the city? And from there on, that gives us enough insight to conduct a more in-depth study of a specific problem, specific target group in a specific area. The second way in which this index was designed is actually to be a measuring tool. This is where you can imagine that there is a certain project or a certain pilot that's being conducted related to mobility. And before the pilot and after the pilot, this index can be used as to create a 0 measurement and a measurement 1, measurement 2, 6 months, a year later, depending on the project. Now, there are a number of case studies that illustrate what I'm talking about here. I'm going to highlight only 3 of them today. Scusi is a very interesting startup that came out in the last couple of years that we have helped develop in the Verkeers Onderneming. And there was a lot of studies and analysis done on the scootmobiles of people that cannot walk independently, and they use them to go around the streets. You see actually quite a lot of them in Holland. And that means that there was identified that there's a lot of safety problems, especially on side roads going up and down. And a lot of the problems that are happening, a lot of the accidents happening with this group of people were due to the unsafe scootmobile, as we call it. And of course, there is also a social stigma that comes with that. And what Scusi has done, when you can see the pictures here, is redefine the social stigma to actually make it quite cool and save all the health issues. A second case study here is Via Tim, and Via Tim actually developed this idea of logistics and receiving packages at home for people when we order something online and we're not there. And basically what it allowed people to do is allowed people to register and volunteer themselves to actually be a receiving point for the packages, because most of these people are at home quite a bit of the time, which is of course linked to a problem of loneliness. And that means that if they volunteer to receive the packages, then the neighbor that comes home at the end of the day and has a package they need to receive can come to them, they can have a small conversation, and that's only the social side of it, of course. A third example is a mass pilot that's being done in the Rotterdam, The Hague airport, and this is where we're experimenting with mobility as a service, as in how can a trip be made faster, easier, more convenient, cheaper, and a lot less hassle for the traveler that's going to the airport, so they can travel in all serenity and peace of mind. Ladies and gentlemen, mobility happiness is about creating a movement. Mobility happiness is bigger than a tool or an index or a pilot. It's about understanding that mobility contributes to a better quality of life. And that's really important, because a happy citizen is an engaged citizen. And that is the most sustainable form of citizenship.